The intention here is how to keep your pipeline. Sorry, as I'm closing some screens out here, guys, I apologize. Pipeline full with borrower and business intelligence. And I will be moderating and hosting today. My name is Alex Kosician, co-founder, CEO here at Sales Boomerang. I'll tell you a little bit more about that in just a minute. Joining me, CFO at Homespire, Bill Napier. Thanks for joining us, Bill.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you for having me, and welcome everyone. Glad you could join us.
That's right. And of course, everybody knows LBA Ware, and we have our sales consultant, Chris Gassel.
You got it, my man.
Did I get it right? That's right, because it sounds like the bad word.
I bet you didn't think you would have someone say, "I can't pronounce your name" over your name.
That's a first. That is a first for me. But hey, well, welcome everybody. Welcome. So we're going to jump into this conversation, and right before we kick things off, for those that don't know who LBA Ware is and what they do, Chris, do you mind quickly giving people some insights as to what you guys do?
Would love to. Thank you. And as Alex and Bill already said, thank you all for joining us. I do little backgrounds here, so it kind of highlights what we do. But here at LBA, we do a couple great things. One is we are masters of mortgage data, and we take your data and utilize it for a couple different solutions. First is, get my hands right here, Compensate, which automates all your incentive compensation for LOs, processors, underwriters, managers, whatever. And then Lion Gear, which is our turnkey business intelligence tool to give you things like scorecards, performance-based metrics, KPIs, all that great dashboards and insights you need. That's LBA.
Amazing. Yeah, those are, and I love, I can't wait to hear more about Lion Gear. It's so cool. I can't wait for everybody else to hear about it. And all the other things you guys do for Homespire and all other lenders that you guys work with. Real quick, for those that don't know who Sales Boomerang is, we're a borrower intelligence organization. And what we do is we basically tell lenders who in their database is ready for a loan. And now also what loan they're ready for and what's the value for them to do this loan with you. So it's about retention, recapture, referrals, and repeat business. So let's get going. Let's go to Bill with our first question. So Bill, can you describe in your own words, in your opinion, what you think the current climate of this industry is, of this market is?
Well, I think that the primary is it is always in a state of change. Right now, technology is really important and is really a primary component of, or should be, of everyone's plan. In terms of volume right now, certain parts of the market are doing very well. Where we're located, just for everybody's information, is primarily in the mid-Atlantic states. We're here in Virginia, in Maryland, and that DMV metro, and it has some advantages that may not exist in other areas. But we've also seen a fall off in the refinances, as everybody knows, and that has pushed more people into the purchase market. One of our advantages here, and one thing that we want to capitalize and continue to capitalize on, is that most of our business is purchase money business. And even during the prior year, 65–70% of our volume was purchase volume. So we were able to make that transition pretty quickly. And, we focus on that when we're bringing in new loan officers or new branches who would like to grow along with us. That's one of the primary selling points. And in terms of, the desire of the kind of people we would like to bring in, that have that book of business and have demonstrated that they can originate loans in any environment. Okay, so that's primarily where we're at right now on the origination side. Can't hear you.
Yeah, Alex, something happened, man. Lost your audio.
Oh. I pressed mute on my microphone instead of on there. So real quick to sort of reiterate and repeat what you said. What you're saying is, for you, the current climate is, and what we've heard in the market already, that people are going to purchase, and you noticed a big drop in refi. And a real quick question before we get to the next question, a question for you before we get to the next one is, do you believe there is still refi left in the market with $21 trillion in equity? Is there still refi left in the market?
Well, yes, with that much equity left in the market, there is refi, but we've had an increase in the rates. I mean, it hasn't been terribly oppressive, but there
Mhm.
has been an increase in rates. Right now, too, you have some inflation concerns out there, and then possibly an additional increase in rates could be on the way. And what's happened right now, too, is inventory is not in large supply. There just aren't that many homes available for sale. The demand is exceeding the supply. One other thing that has popped up here in the last few weeks that has become a pretty prominent discussion point is the investment banks.
Mm.
They are going in and they are buying up residential real estate and renting it. So they're not reselling those; they're holding those assets long term. And I mean, some of these have been significant. I was reading where this one real estate investor held 17,000 homes in
Wow.
their portfolio, and one was just purchased for $6 billion. That averaged out to about $352,000 per loan. So that they obviously see something in there. I mean, we don't know how the financing was structured or anything like that, but that there is a movement there.
Very interesting.
Yeah, it is very interesting because a lot of the investment houses, folks, as you guys probably know, I mean, they don't invest in long-term asset. They're transaction based. Okay, they get in, they build it up, they get the profit up, they sell it, and they move on. Well, these are residential homes,
Yeah.
and they obviously intend to take a different tact. Okay, in this regard here, so that's very interesting.
It
I think
is.
all. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say it is. And Bill, I would love what you just brought up, and I posted it in the comments for a second here, but I would love to hear people's feedback on this, if they're thinking about this, if they saw the news, if they're paying attention,
Mhm.
because not only is it interesting, but it's making an impact, a significant impact. Someone is asking, how do I tap into that? So there's an investment banker here listening in.
Right. Well, I
um,
mean, a lot of REITs. I mean, you could. I mean, you would just obviously our primary friend Google, who the masters of the universe, they can probably tell you, if there are, but some of these would undoubtedly be REITs or would at some point maybe turn into them and give you an investment opportunity, to get in without having to have $6 billion.
yeah.
Okay, so but it is that it's a definite shift where you had that much money coming from that sector, okay, into real estate holdings, okay, on the
Well,
residential side.
it's a
Okay.
situation. It's a situation that no one really expected to be impacting the industry the way it is, and it's really impacting both sides. It's impacting
Yeah.
the borrowers. They're not able to find the homes they want to buy,
Right.
and it's impacting lenders because there's less inventory, and now you have customers that start the process and months could go by before they find something else, and now they got to get reapply, they got to
That's
requalify, the
right.
whole thing begins again. And so it is just this unique situation that nobody accounted for. And so I love that you brought it up. And again, throw in some comments, your thoughts in here as we continue. Because remember, the conversation is going to be good, but it could be great if you chime in and ask some questions and leave some comments. So let's keep it going.
Sure.
Look, this is similar to what we were just talking about. How can you describe the current climate? And Chris, I want to hear you chime in on this once Bill sort of. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say describe? Yes. Yep. How are you? Why is it? I'm sorry, it didn't switch for me. Hold on a second. See, we're boom right there. How are you responding to the current
Right.
market? So Chris, I want to see you chime in here. Okay. Once Bill sort of gives you his thoughts, I'd love to hear how you're helping out in this area too. So Bill, how are you responding? You started to talk about it, but what are
Right.
some of the strategies that you're taking to respond to this current market?
Right. Well, again, we've had traditionally and historically focused on purchase business, and that will continue. I think one thing right now we hope to continue to grow, and if you want to continue to grow in what could be a contracting market because of the refis, then you have to go and pull business from somebody else, essentially.
Mm,
And the way that you do that is to pull in, you know, good producing and good branch managers, good producing LOs, and induce them to come over to your place, okay, and pursue a career in loan originations with you. So
that's your number one. So Bill, let's unpack that for a second, and then let's hear what else you have on. So
yep,
for everyone here, you want to respond to this market. The goal is to find great branch managers
yep,
who have great producers on their team and show them why working with you is the best option.
that's correct.
It's the recruitment strategy for growth strategy. I love it.
Right.
Okay.
And we have at Homespire a hell of a lot to sell.
Yeah.
Okay. One thing that we are selling, and that, presumably most people are at this point, and if not, you might want to consider that, is we are heavily invested in technology. And we continue to invest in technologies to it's across the board. It's not just focused in origination. Okay. It's in operations, in the our workflows, the way we do things. It's in accounting. It's in payroll, and it's in like Compensate. We've brought them on recently to help us automate the calculations of commissions. And once you get into these things, and I'm not just tooting Chris's horn here or anything, but you'll find that these applications that make life much easier for you, they sometimes have more benefits that unfold and that appear that you weren't aware of. Compensate, for example, has great reporting capabilities. I mean, there's 3 or 4 significant reports, and those were canned, more or less, that they were in there that was a struggle for us to create in a manual way. There's a lot of data, and it can be fairly complicated, but
Of course.
boom, it's already there. Okay, so you have to look at to position yourself for the future. You have to embody technology, okay? Because these people, there are just literally billions of dollars invested in mortgage banks right now, with people intending to digitize the whole process. And there's a lot of money out there, and you don't have to be the leader, and you don't have to be at the edge of all the technology. That's almost impossible. But you have to adopt it and be ready to adopt it, at least to the point where you too can pass along some of your cost savings on to your loan officers, who can then pass it on to the borrowers.
Yes.
Okay, so everybody can benefit from that. And if you don't, you'll get priced out. Eventually, you won't be able to compete.
Wow.
And so that's kind of the way that we see it. And go ahead,
Bill. Just to recap again, number one, you are recruiting as a growth strategy. That's everybody.
Correct.
Take note. Recruitment as a growth strategy. Number
Right.
two, invest in technology in all parts of your business, not just for originations, not just for marketing, but all parts of your business.
Have to. Yep.
Because you will be priced out with margin compressions. If you can't do deals less expensive and find ways to pass on savings to as many people in your organization that goes back to the savings to your borrower, you could get priced out. Chris, let's go to you. How are you guys responding to the current market?
Yeah, I think Bill hit a lot of great things there. And one of the big things that I see in terms of recruitment for, as a growth strategy, obviously that's one play. I see recruitment as a growth strategy. When you look at that, the data can tell you a lot of stories, right? When you onboard someone, where they sold a bill of goods, did they sell you a bill of goods? What is that actual cost benefit they brought to the table? Like, was this person worth the amount of money I paid them? That's one piece. But then what type of market share are they getting in their markets too? So we all know, like you said, margin compression. Bill, we were talking before the call about rates had, kind of gone up, not significantly, but everybody is rate sensitive. Millennials being, me being one of them, being the biggest, segment of buyers ever.
Yes.
They are being, affected by, the pension funds and banks buying those things. So for us, it's working with our lender partners and saying, hey, let's understand what your market share looks like. Let's understand who's bringing all of the, best tools of the trade. Who are your top LOs? What are they performing like? But also, what are your operations people looking like? And everybody staffed up last year. how many of these people are actually still performing at a level worth paying them? How many people are turn times are meeting your expectations? So it's really understanding how we improve process, like improve process, because at the end of the day, when margin compression rears its ugly head, you got to save that money by, decreasing those turn times, making things faster, more efficient, getting them through that pipeline and make more money.
Right. It increases. I mean, you have to get increasing returns to scale. Okay. I mean, and that's the name of the game. And just to give you a couple of examples here, just internally from our perspective, when I came here 5 years ago, roughly, we had, let me see, it was four people in accounting and finance, but maybe five counting a couple part-timers. We've increased the volume by sixfold. Okay, 6 times. And we've only doubled the staff. Now we have 8 people, and we are doing work on, 6 times the volume. Okay. And most of
that's thanks to technology. I mean,
that's you're absolutely right. It's technology. And it's amazing some of the things that you can do. I will say here too that we, just the reporting and just the ability. I know we're going to talk about data and how you use it later on, but some of these applications out here, folks, like we have this one called Domo, and some of you may be familiar with it. It is it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing how fast and how precise, and just how in terms of presentation, what this thing can do. I mean, it would have taken who knows how many people to create these kinds of reports. You can just run them in seconds. They integrate with all your other systems. It truly is a internal data warehouse that people have been struggling to build for years, and trying to build their own, trying to do that. It's right there. It's on the cloud. Okay. And these improvements are coming all the time.
So what's interesting is, what Chris just said, and what Bill just added to, is look, and this is something that we've heard out there a couple times. Chris is talking about performance. So, right, LBA where, so everyone that's listening understands something. You just staffed up, and Chris just mentioned who's performing and how do you know they're performing? Okay, those that can perform better, how do you know they can perform better? Well, something needs to show you that clearly, where to focus your attention, where to put the spotlight. You can guess, but it's going to just cost you lots of money and time and aggravation. So LBA where makes that possible. Then Bill's talking about a internal data warehouse that's finally built properly. Finally, somebody put something together that works well. But here's what Bill and Chris are talking about. Each technology that's just been mentioned helps the other technology, right? You should no longer be buying tech to be siloed. Every piece of technology needs to connect to another piece of technology that you've already invested in. If it doesn't, then you need to either change the original technology that you had in place, or make sure that you're buying something that plugs into it. Okay.
Synchronization.
Right. Yes, integration.
Absolutely key. Yep.
Absolutely key. Because siloed technologies are just hard to work on. Multiple logins, I mean, like you don't know which screen you should be on. So what you both are saying is very important. And this is important for this market because of how fast this market is changing constantly. It's important to be able to shift and be nimble, right? And so let's keep going. Let's keep the conversation going. Let me share. I'm gonna actually tie the next 2 questions together. Okay. So what I'd like to do is talk about how do you increase market share, and at the same time, I want you to talk about the staffing up. Right? You just said you're recruiting, but I want you to sort of talk about how you're making that happen, what you're looking for, and I know we talked about this. This is where your hiring comes in, right? You said you wanted to increase market share by recruitment. So look, this brings those 2 questions together. And then both Chris and I have something to add to this, because this is where Sales Boomerang and LBA where really focus on working together. The integrations we talked about, right? How do we get borrower intelligence and business intelligence to drive a better result for our loan officers, more confidence for our loan officers, giving our loan officers the ability to really do the highest priority tasks that are relevant to them, that don't just put more money in their pocket, but get a better relationship built for them and their borrowers. So
Right.
we're going to add that commentary. But to you again, Bill, how do you increase market share, and are you hiring? And tell us about both of those things and how they work together.
Yes, sir. Uh, we've a lot of our growth over the last 4 or 5 years has been organic, but that includes bringing on and hiring LOs into existing branches, who were able to, they had a book of business and were able to bring those realtor relationships in house, and we were able to increase volume. And then also we have open branches in different geographic locales from the primary ones around in our uh, centralized kind of demographics.
Mm-hmm.
So we've opened those branches. Now look, all of them haven't been a hit. Okay. And like back to your point, how do you know if these people are any good? I mean, because you can hear all kinds of things out on the street and get all kinds of references and this, that, and the other. But quite honestly, you know how somebody is, and no matter what kind of employer or what position you're hiring for after they're working for you.
Yes.
We in last year had some very good additions that we were able to bring on in Florida, in Colorado, in North Carolina, okay, and a couple right around here. Very, very, highly productive branches and profitable branches. Okay, so, but we also, what we've done is contracted with a couple of recruiters, okay, that are external recruiters to go out and try and find branches and LOs that fit our business model. Okay, they have a proven track record. Okay, they can show, and you can go out and pull information now,
Sure.
to see who are the producers and who are the BSers. Okay, and you can filter some of this stuff out on your own. But we that is our approach. We also are able to lure or to attract these folks in. We have a very good marketing department that we provide a lot of amenities and a lot of services to our LOs and the branches, and we spend some money there, but it pays for itself. And
Well, that's a lesson in and of itself right there, everyone.
Right.
So again, I hope everyone's taken note. Recruitment as a growth strategy, hiring in all different departments, and investing in marketing. And listen to the key thing that Bill said. It pays for it. It makes sense to invest in marketing because it's paying for itself. So don't be afraid to put money behind there.
No,
Go ahead, Bill.
it absolutely does. And I also would encourage folks not to divert here, but if you have the ability, if you're not already doing it, the industry surveys that are done by like Stratmore and by the
Yes.
MBA and by Richie May, where you can get this information and
Great insight.
compare yourself. I mean, you know that the things that you're investing in are paying for themselves if your margins are at or better than the peer group that you're being compared to. Okay,
Great.
because that's what's happening. Okay, it's fallen to the bottom line. And again, marketing is one of those areas where you do need to spend some money. Okay, so go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to jump in now. So look, this is how you're continuing the message, and I love this because repetition is how people learn and go, I'm going to take something away from this conversation. So you've given a great strategy there and how you're creating and grabbing market share. Chris, let's talk about for just a second here how your systems are helping increase market share, and then how we work together to help Homespire to take market share and improve the process, and how the two technologies working together do that in a compound way, and not just this does this does that, and hopefully they help together. So Chris, why don't you share with us a little bit about how you're helping get that market share?
Yeah, thank you. And that's a great question. And I love the synergy piece that we're going to add to that, because that is everything. Like all of this stuff, data in its own nature needs to play together in a nice, fun sandbox, because there's so much information that comes from your OS. There's so much great data from, sales boomerang and alerts and leads. And there's so many useful tools and items that LOs and people can use to their benefit not only one, to help them increase their own production, but two, for a company who is doing hiring and gaining market share to utilize that in the recruitment efforts. Like, we are giving powerful tools to everyone that signs up with this organization. And that's stuff that can help you gain that market share. And then, so in terms of what we're doing, it's all about understanding, when you look at your data and you look at your competitiveness in the market, where are we seeing growth? Where are we analyzing market trends? Like, even if I want to look at a map, right? And I want to see, like, I've added branches in North Carolina, I've added branches in X, and I've got this peer market data telling me what the average market share generally is, like HMDA data, just as a basic example.
Sure.
HMDA data that tells me where things are and what they've done historically. I'm looking at the raw data from my LOS of what these new branches are bringing to the table. Well, if I'm like, well, they're getting 1% of market share in this county, that should be a slam dunk. We should be winning all day. Why are we not winning all day, right? So it's pinpointing out areas where you've spent time, investment, opportunity, and saying, look, you could do better. Here's how you could do better. Here's where these people could use coaching. Here's how they could help garner more loans in their markets. And so one of the big ways is too, like, to bring synergy back. So much data, like from a sales boomerang, like, it gives so many opportunities to LOs and people that they never even knew they had, right? Like, you have this giant database that you just kind of set and forget. And I loved your article, Alex, with Jim Taraverdi, about the evolutionary versus revolutionary. And, I was an LO myself, and relationships were everything. Relationships are why I got business. And if you're transactional, like Bill was saying, like with these pension funds and all these other people, you're just a fly in the wind. If you want to win the long-term game, it's relationships, it's your database mining, it's knowing when people are ready to buy. It's then getting the data on that. It's then acting upon that data, right? Without that stuff at your fingertips, and without giving those tools and benefits to your people. And by the way, teaching them how to use it and why it's effective. Because that's the big thing, I think. I'll just be candid. It's teaching people the benefits of the tools. They need to adopt it.
So look, Chris, I'm gonna sell your company just a little bit more here, because we're talking about winning market share. What Chris just said is, look, you could be in a market, you could have branches in markets, and you think they're doing okay. But the question is, how do you grow your market share? And what LBA Ware will do is it will say to you, this branch is underperforming significantly. Focus there. You could just grow your market. Just focus here a little bit more. You can grow your market share an extra 10% in this. You could see your volumes go up by $100 million over the next 6 months if you give these 3 branches some coaching on these particular products. I mean, it's almost what's the best way to say it? It's like you are shooting yourself in the foot without me cussing. It's like shooting yourself in the foot for no reason when the solution is out there. Like, there's no reason not to. The reason HomeSpire is growing the way it's growing is it is stacking its technologies to communicate together. They are getting these insights, and they're not losing opportunities. They're acting on them. And so they're growing. And so how Sales Boomerang is helping in this particular environment and win market share is we're looking at the types of loans that are best to do right now. Prioritization. Not everything is a great loan. There's certain ones that are better suited for this market environment that we're in. For instance, we talked about $21 trillion in equity. Well, Sales Boomerang will give a HomeSpire a notification that says, here's 88 people today who are qualified for a cash out with you, right? Here's 100 people who went from a mid-level FICO score to a high-level FICO score, and now can get the best rate. They weren't even qualified for the historic low rates 6 months ago, but they are today. They are today.
Get the borrower. You're right, Alex. It's
Yes.
paramount. You have to be the first mouse gets the cheese. Okay.
Yes.
You have to keep the borrower in front of you if you can do that. And all these things that we're talking about here. I mean, we also, by the way, for those, I mean, we are going to be employing Sales Boomerang as well. But and like Chris had said, there you have to relationships are important, but you have to realize that the nature of relationships could be changing. For example, we're looking like into consumer direct. Okay. And a lot of people are moving in that direction, or at least considering it, because we believe, and rightfully so, that there are going to be, in the very near future, many more loans coming through that channel, coming through a portal. And then Chris had mentioned the millennials. if you look in the realty magazines, real estate, National Mortgage News, they point that out repeatedly. This is the biggest market coming. It's the millennials. And, Quicken, for example, they don't like to talk about their refinance versus their purchase numbers. But when they were interviewing Farner, the CEO, in an article a couple of weeks ago, he didn't talk specifically about what the refi percentage was versus purchase, but what he did say is that on the purchase side, the millennials are flocking to the digital mortgage. And they're right there with their portal, okay, coming right through. First time home buyers. And a lot of people, I will tell you, are reluctant to, you have to be willing to at least listen and many times adjust and adapt to change. Because I know, and some of it is just, experience or, just your way of how you were doing things. You have to be willing to change and willing to accept some of this technology and understand that markets change. I mean, business is the same, but the way it's done, the contact points, where the value streams are, those can change. And if you're not moving with it, you'll miss the boat. Okay, so that's and again, that's back to the consumer direct that you see here on the screen. They've been able to capitalize on that, not just on the refis, but also with a particular segment on the purchase side. And that's where they're going.
So how do you, we kind of rolled right into this question, which is why I kept it up here. How do you prepare for that consumer for that shift, and how are you using technology to prepare for it, and what do you expect? Because I hear this too, not just hear this, we are seeing it. The number of consumer direct organizations reaching out to us right now. I see Chris shaking his head. It's like, where were they all for the last 2 years? It's amazing. So how do you prepare?
Well, I think what happened. Well, I know what happened. Okay.
There we go. Here we go.
At the end of the last decade, when the internet in the first part of the 21st century, up through 2000, everything was flying high. Then you had the crash. Okay. Mortgage bankers, actually, they say, had made tremendous strides in automating their operation side and the regulatory parts, where they were able to at least get some control of the cost there. But what happened when the market crashed, the other side of that was in process, the digitization and the investments in technology to make the industry more streamlined, more competitive, more economically sustainable. They stopped because everybody was just trying to stay in business. Think about it. For 4 or 5 years, that the industry was in a death spiral. Okay. When things started to improve, these investments began to surface and were restarted. And now here we are. And now it's like Moore's law on microchips. As they move, they get better at and then it moves quicker again. Yes. So the transformation and the advancements that have been made over the last 2 or 3 years are astounding. Okay. We have automated underwriting. We have automated artificial intelligence. I'm sorry. We're looking at things right now to automate the reconciliation of the PAs on the loan sales. Automated underwriting, where we're using artificial intelligence. It's amazing. And I'm glad to be with an organization that adopts that part of their strategy is technology, because it has to be. So, go ahead.
I was just going to ask you, Bill, just on the consumer direct. I know you're about to head there again. What do you expect to see happen to your organization when you optimize your consumer direct division? Like what do you see? You're standing it up, but what do you expect the results to be for your company?
Well, I mean, first of all, you have to be very methodical and very precise, because it's a different animal, okay, than the traditional realtor LO relationship. And it's a good point that you made there. How do you handle it organizationally? Well, one, you're going to have a natural kind of a tiff between the
Mhm.
LOs over here
Mhm.
on the street
Yeah,
and the
interesting.
consumer direct channel, up on the fifth floor, bringing leads in from their potential customers. It's
Mm.
kind of like the old retail broker, price sheets going out. I'm sure, like I can see Chris out there. Yeah, and
Who on
it
this
could
call
be,
remembers those? Somebody make a
yeah.
comment here. Make Bill feel special. Let's go. Go ahead, Bill.
But anyhow, you have those things to overcome. But the marketing, and you'd mentioned something, Alex. This is the first you have. If you how do you place yourself so you're the first contact or you're one of the
Yes.
initial contacts? And you made some very good points the last time we spoke. And I'm sure that some of the people on the phone here or on the conference call, sorry, have experienced the same thing. You get these notices. Okay, refinance your loan. Your escrow is going to be coming back and you're not going to be paying MI. Well, you know what? That's great. But you've already got your loan ready to close in a few days right down the street from, and
Yes.
and they just keep coming. They it's like, how do you, like in that particular case, okay, how do I get first? And based on like something like Sales Boomerang that can tell you these people have just moved from a FHA high MI high mortgage insurance
Yes.
higher rate loan. Look at the value of their house. They could probably go get a conventional loan down and do it and be the first to deliver
Yes.
that news.
To deliver those
Okay.
good news, not just
Yes.
news, but the good
No.
news. It's always good news.
Absolutely. Very good news. Because
Yes.
many times, if you're getting something in the mail nowadays, folks, the horse has already left the barn. Okay. And it's the same thing, consumer direct. I mean, the marketing there, it has to be, more timely, more aggressive. And, you want to rely, if you're thinking about pursuing that, you get expert, people, consultants to help you, people with the marketing knowledge, to be able to set that up and move forward. Another thing that you guys mentioned, at least indirectly, on your market share,
Yeah.
you have to know that sometimes, it's better. What is your market share in the primary areas of your operations? A lot of people go out, here, we'll move over into this state, or I'll go make cars over here, whatever your business is. And it's like, well, wait a second. Where do you stand in the primary places where you do business?
Right.
I bet they'd be surprised.
Oh,
Okay. And then you'll hear them say, well, it's so hard to get business, in here. And it's like, wait a minute. I know who these companies are. I see them all over the place. They're not from here. They're not local. They're able to do it. Why
yeah.
can't you do it? In other words, you might find from a value proposition that you're better off and you're adding more sustainable value, having a dominant position in the markets where you want to be, as opposed to be strung out all over the country, just doing these loans, those loans, and the synergies just may not be there. Okay.
So
And
So what's interesting, Bill, it's and to kind of stick on consumer direct, and by the way, that was a great sort of highlight on how something like an LBA where technology that can help you understand if your market is performing.
yes.
But let's staying on the consumer direct side. And by the way, everyone that's listening, we have an awesome question coming up right after this about marketing and how complicated it's gotten to loan officers. Exciting question. That's one of my favorite ones. So stick around to see how we unravel that one. To kind of stay on this consumer direct topic for just another minute. So for consumer direct, to stand up that team has to stay busy. To have a successful consumer direct team, okay, everyone listening, if you have it, you'll understand. Add some comments or questions if you have some challenges in what I'm about to say. But to have a successful consumer direct team, they have to be busy, and they have to be busy working on deals that can close, or they will lose interest and no longer want to call 100 people a day. They will lose the confidence. So they need wins under their belt. And a great consumer direct division spends a lot of money in marketing, so the phone's ringing, or you make the phones ring. But
Mhm.
here's where you also need to now focus, because remember, you You can't spend money unwisely anymore. We're in a compressing margin environment. So you can't be unwise. So if you're spending a dollar, how can you stretch that dollar? That is where our relationship comes in and helps make that happen. If your consumer direct division is spending $100,000, you're able to convert, let's say, I don't know, 5% of those opportunities. You have 95% of those opportunities still sitting around. Don't throw them away. Don't forget about them. Wrap them with intelligence. Get insights on what was successful. Know how to bring that 95% back without spending money on that lead again. Don't pay 50, 60, 100, $200 on it. Have your own intelligence bring this back. And then again, remember, we're talking about how do you win market share and consumer direct?
Right.
Then you
Yep.
stack that with a system like LBA where that says, hey, you just spent this money on this, but you're out of your 20 consumer direct loan officers, only 6 performed.
Right.
Amazing. The rest were, but otherwise you're going to spend it again and be like, okay, well, it was just the luck of the draw. No, be smart. Emphasize what works, fix what doesn't, but you can't guess. And
Right.
the best part is you don't have to guess anymore. Like it's
Totally,
right here.
totally agree. Totally agree. It's data and data management. Okay.
Yes.
And how do you use it? It's because it's there. It's just being able to harness it and point it in the right direction.
Chris, do you want to add anything before we jump into this cool question that's coming up?
I mean, I think you made some amazing points. And one of my favorite visualizations around that data is, a lot of our clients that, are also sales boomerang clients, when you utilize things like lead sources or marking fields, like where did this opportunity come from? Where was it a lead aggregator online? Was it a realtor, whatever? Being able to then look at my division separate or my channels, like consumer direct. I just want to see that data. Now I want to see retail data, but when I look at those opportunities, what was the conversion rate of those? Looking at my, how many people are actually converting into just applications, but of those applications, what are getting funded? But also we take it a step further and say, all right, what is the quality of the leads from these aggregators? And what is the conversion at that, that micro level? And then, like you said, then take it even further and say, now I'm going to look at individuals within the division and look at their specifics and say, look, who's performing, who's not, because that's what data is going to tell you. If you're spending money, time, energy, and look, onboarding and training, that's expensive and timely. So having that data to make those decisions quicker so you can pivot when you need to.
It's high performing teams. Let's take this conversation outside of mortgage for a second, okay? And then we're going to get to just a moment. Look at the top performing sports franchises. They're investing in things to get their running backs to run 1/100th of a second faster, to give them 2% more oxygen in their lungs, to get their heart rate down so they can focus more when they're on the fields. They're investing in incremental changes that create high performers constantly, over and over and over and over again. That is what we're talking about right now. Tuning this machine up, not letting it go because it can go, tuning it up every step you can. And there's I forget who said this. It's not that you need to grow 100%. It's you need to grow 1% every day. And by the end of the year, you may grow 365%, right? Don't worry about making a huge leap. Make the small incremental growth every single day. And by the time the year ends, you're in a place you never imagined being. So let's jump into this question because I think this is fun. And I can't wait to hear everyone's thoughts on this. Okay. And please, you're still... I love the audience. You guys have been fantastic and sticking around and listening to this. So please chime in. The one thing I'm missing is some of your questions or insights. I would love to hear some thoughts here. Bill, again, we're going to start with you because you're the one that sees this in your organization. You're hands-on. Chris, we're going to go to you next. So how has marketing gotten more complicated for loan officers? How and why?
I think, well, one is the digitization. A lot of the marketing, is coming on their cell phones, on the loan origination system, and in other words, you're in business 24/7. Okay, you're carrying these gadgets. Okay, and they connect with your systems. They help manage the leads. They disperse them. And that is, you have to stay up with the technology and be willing to utilize these things to your advantage. We spend a lot of relatively speaking, we advertise, on a macro level, you have signs, you have internet presence, Facebook page, and this, that, and the other. But a lot of the connectivity and the response ability. And,
Yes.
the follow-ups, the borrower, customer reviews, all that stuff is automated. And those that's all part of the marketing curriculum, if you will.
Got
And
it. So what you're saying is simply the mass amounts of channels to communicate to a customer has gone up so much that in itself has made it complicated to be successful.
yes, and it's on the LOs to you are
Well
expected to
said.
respond. They don't want to sit and I mean, look, they're sending you or you're getting a message. They don't want you here. I'll get to it after I leave the bar. That doesn't work anymore because somebody else will beat you to the punch. Okay, so it's just look again. It's the utilization of the data and utilization of the information that you have. Optimize it by taking advantage of it in a excuse me in a timely manner.
What do you think, Chris? What's made marketing complicated for loan officers today?
Oh man, I mean, you're giving me PTSD already. I haven't been out this down. So
I'm the one that usually has a drink in my hand, so I if you need one.
I didn't say what's in the cup, right? Yeah.
That's true.
So I think that there's a lot of things. Bill, you already said specifically the different channels, right? And I am a very big proponent, and I apologize for people's LinkedIn feeds that I, kind of cover in videos and posts and stuff. But to me, it's all about being that advisor. Like that was the one thing I found that separated myself from competition. Like, I don't know how many people on this call are in the St. Louis market, but if anybody knows this market, it was heavily, heavily competitive. Like there are just tons of mortgage shops, tons of people. It's very, very rate competitive as well. So how did you stand out to be the person who was that advisor or won the deals? Well, I would just go out and basically drop knowledge bombs on people all day. I would go out and say, did you know you could do X? Did you know this program was available? Like this refi now, refi possible. If I was a loan officer, I would be out there talking to every single financial advisor, CPA, whatever, telling them this program exists, telling them how I can save their people money. And then what I would do, and from an LBA side, I'm going to go data on you. I would then look at, am I seeing those programs being utilized internally? And we actually have a tool that actually looks at a unit and volume per product level. And I'd say, yeah, we are out there marketing the crap out of this program and we're getting it. Think about portfolio programs, doctors programs, whatever. If you are out there selling yourself as the person who is able to do loans that people can't or offer some solutions that people didn't know about, track that, see that. If it's working, market the crap out of it, grab market share. Now you're the advisor.
Yeah,
now, it will work. You're exactly right, Chris. It will work. Okay, you'll get momentum, and the next thing you know, you'll be getting referrals without soliciting them. I mean, because people will market you just like that. This guy's good. He's not trying to sell you, this, that, or the other. He's going to ask you some questions to determine what is the best loan for you. Okay, and what somebody else may be trying to sell them is not necessarily the best loan for them. Okay, and like you say, just be an advisor.
Yes. Yeah. Be the so, to kind of add to this, and then we have one final question, and this one is interesting too, because it's about how important data has become to your business as a whole. This might be a self-explanatory answer, but you guys got to hear what Bill says and what Chris says and what I'll be able to add to it. But to sort of give my quick 2 cents on the what's made marketing so complicated, I tend to agree with you, Bill. There's so many platforms, so many channels. I think loan officers have a tough time sticking to a niche, sticking to something that they're very comfortable with and they can scale. And obviously speed to lead, being responsive, that's a must now. A consumer's expected. Don't think for a minute that when you send an email or text, your consumers, like, they can respond in 24 to 48 hours. No, they want a response as fast as possible. Like whatever humanly possible is available that you can do. They want that because they want to feel that. And so I highly recommend people creating some sort of quick response system to let them know you heard them. That will buy you 24 hours, right? But not much more than that. So I think the most complicated part of marketing today is a lot of what you said, Bill. It's the amount of systems to learn and how to use them right, because it's hard to know how to use them right. But you have a great marketing team that helps your loan officers. And again, if you're listening and you're an owner of an organization or executive, or you're part of the leadership team, listen to that. Give your LOs access to marketing personnel that are experts in all channels so they can help your existing teams, because it is hard. Go ahead, Bill.
I just want to comment on what you said, and just as an augmentation. Okay, look, the thing about technology, what we've been able to do with it the country, the world. I mean, the company. I mean, whoever. I mean, it's phenomenal. I mean, this stuff. When you look at some of it, it's magic. It's magic.
It's magic.
How do you send data? Okay, from one place to another.
It's
With
magic.
no lines.
Yeah.
Okay, think about this.
Yeah.
Okay.
From 30,000 feet in the air.
That's quantum physics kind of stuff, man.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. But anyhow, what I can see happening, and I've talked to our IT folks about this, is you can reach a point where you automate your way to inefficiencies because the technology moves and changes so fast that, like, we've been on, since I've been here, on 6 different project management platforms. So as soon as you learn the one, well, here comes another one. And as soon as you learn that, here, look at Microsoft Office, Excel, whatever, and then it changes, and then you have all these new apps that just keep rolling in. You can only manage so much of this. A human mind, or minds, you have to, at some point, there's going to be diseconomies of scale from this,
right?
Because everybody is in a constant learning mode instead of a sales mode. Okay,
performing mode,
strategy mode, or instead, and you have to watch that, okay, because it is a lot, and it can be oppressive, okay, to the people who are impacted the most by it.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, listen, it's a great point. And Chris just commented, if you guys don't see that, in the tech world, it's called tech debt, right? Don't let it drown you. I love that, Chris. That's really well said. Well, look,
you gave me some words to use here, my friend. Thank you.
There you go.
I owe you another beer.
He's going to bring it up in his next platform meeting.
We got my notch going. We got a post.
You're close enough that he may get you drunk at this meeting.
That's how it'll take more than one meeting.
Or that. There you go. So look, everyone, we've gotten to our last question. It seems like an obvious one. It seems like, Alex, why are we even asking this question? But not everyone on this call is believing this, because not all of you are doing it. Not all of you believe data is that important. I have spoken to folks recently that still don't have a marketing automation platform, that still don't have a CRM, that still aren't using things like LBAware, Mortgage Coach, Experience.com, that are not using this data. Everyone says, of course, data is important, but people look at data as records in their database. That's not data. That's records. That's a glorified filing cabinet, just a digital filing cabinet. Okay, it's just paper in a file. Okay, it's just digital.
Unless it's codified and presented in a way that is understood, it's not working. Okay, and folks, these things are out there. Go and get hooked up. And because Chris said, in one of the previous discussions, and you said too, Alex, how these things have to be synchronized and interconnected. Yes. I can take this Domo thing that we were talking about. We pull in from ADP, we pull in from Encompass, we pull in from A&B, we pull in from Compensa, or we will be, all this data. And it can generate unbelievable reports. You can put anything in here. And again, it's in one place. How many of you have been out, like the servicing used to be horrendous about this. When you'd ask the collections guy, what's the delinquency rate? Well, he'd give you a bunch of numbers. Then you go ask, the person in default, they'd give you a bunch of numbers, because everybody had their own definitions, So you had all these different numbers, and so nobody had any faith in any of them. You can prevent that. These are hard, these are coded. And you change management. This is what it is. Everybody reports on and sees the same thing. Okay.
Yes.
And I swear, sometimes I'm in just total awe when I sign on to this thing in the morning and just see just parts and parcels of it. I mean, I don't even know what they're doing with most of it on the other side, I'm telling you.
But this is important. This is important, and you may have just put a bow on this conversation with saying and putting the passion around what you're talking about. Listen, data isn't just information anymore. Data is ammunition, right? It is the ability to achieve a particular goal
Yes, sir.
and get there as efficiently as possible when you have it properly presented to you. Data in a raw form is like gum on the bottom of your shoe. Data presented through something like LBA, where Sales Boomerang, Domo, all these other groups we're talking about, is ammunition. It's resources, it's tools, it's speed, it's ease.
And what does the ammunition enable you to do? Survive.
Hit your
It's
target.
survival. I'm telling you, that's where
Yeah.
this is going. Hell, it's already there. Okay.
Chris, what do you think?
I mean, Bill's just making me want to jump onto a whole, like, we only got a minute. So
Yeah.
'cause I got to go watch you on Tech Talk next, Alex. But
That's right. In 2 minutes, I'll be on Tech
Yeah.
Talk.
I can't wait. Data strategy is nothing without pure definition. Bill hit the nail on the head. Too much inconsistencies. Everybody has their own little wonky reports talking different numbers. No, clear, concise, like very consistent view of the data. That's it.
Correct.
You don't have that, you don't have a data strategy. Everybody's playing their own game. Guess what? You got ball players making their own money decisions, and now you're overpaying them.
That's
Well
exactly
said.
right.
Well said. Look, everyone, really appreciate everyone spending this much time with us. Bill, amazing information, honestly priceless. If I'm sitting another line and I'm in the lending space, I've taken pages and pages of notes. Chris, your phone should be blowing up right now, because there are so many opportunities in markets that people have no clue that their team could be performing better. They need to know. And hopefully, guys, if you're looking to get insights on your own database, give us a shout. We're here. The reason we put these on is we want to inspire you all. Let's raise the expectations of the entire industry. That's why Bill is doing this. Bill is giving away the secrets, because if the industry gets better, his job gets easier, right? Like if the borrowers trust us more, they think we're going to do better for them, and everybody wins. So that's why we share these. And of course, we'd love to give you personal insights as to how all of our programs work. So give us a shout. Everybody have a wonderful, wonderful rest of the week. Chris, thank you so much. Bill, thank you so much. Audience.
Right. I say
so
thank
much.
you all very much. Thank you, Chris. And thanks all the participants out there for joining in. We're glad you did. Thank you.
Yes.
Well, and Alex, on behalf of all LOs out there, thank you for Sales Boomerang. You did stuff we wouldn't do, which is comb our own database.
There you go. All
My
right.
pleasure, guys. My pleasure. All right. Thanks, everyone.